Welcome to NLP Dynamics Practice Group. You may have calibrated a slight change from the normal group. Don't know if you can know. Me. So Steve is in Brazil, but sends his regards to everybody. So you have me for this evening. The topic today is the Submodality Map Across. So first questions first. Can anyone tell me what a modality is? Anyone at all? Ashley?
Describing words of a state. Right.
Anyone else? Modalities? you have the kind of an idea, I can see where you're going, but the actual modalities are...
So your senses.
Yeah, so it's the representational systems. So you were just about to say. So thank you, Daniel.
And that's what I meant.
So if the modalities are the representational systems, what are submodalities?
Minor distinctions.
You've been reading your manual, haven't you? Exactly, the finer distinctions of the representational systems. So can anybody tell me why, in terms of NLP, why submodalities are so important?
How you're representing internally. So it tells us how the images that you're creating, or not images, that's the wrong word.
Yeah, it can be images, can also be...
How you're experiencing.
Yeah, so what you were saying really about the structure of a state. So submodalities code your state. So your state will be made up of different submodalities. So whether it's, I'm pointing there, it's not showing yet, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So the reason I've chosen Submodality Map Across today is just, for me personally, it's one of the most powerful ones. It's a very simple technique, but it can have such a huge impact. And states can change very easily. For example, it's a beautiful day outside today. I don't know if you've noticed the difference in people between like a sunny day. Yeah, so it can happen naturally. There's different ways of changing your state. Any examples of different ways of changing your state? Possibly, yeah, could be.
Anchoring.
Yeah, anchoring, so that you can anchor a resourceful state which you can fire. Any other ones?
You change your state just by physicality, by just moving or getting up or...
Yeah,
moving
exactly.
Going for a
Yeah,
run.
exactly. And once you understand the sort of concept between changing submodalities and changing state, you can do it. You don't necessarily have to be doing the submodality map across, but it's a really nice one to kind of become very fluid with. Also, what I have noticed is with the submodality map across is that sometimes people struggle with content and process. Can anyone explain the difference between content and process to me?
So content.
Content is the soup, as it were, and the other's the structure, the sort of the base.
That's from Luca, isn't it, from your master practitioner? Yes. So, yeah, Ashley?
So the content's like, what you're seeing, i.e. the room, the ceiling, the walls, the ceiling, and then the process is more like the colour. No, I've got that wrong, haven't I? I'm talking about modalities again.
Okay, so...
The process it's the content process is when it goes through the filters. Is that right?
So the process, to make it just nice and simple, the process is the how, and the content is the what. Yeah. So in terms of submodalities, then the process is the submodalities, so the finer distinction points, and the content will be, for example, if somebody is picturing a beach, then the content will be the beach, and that's not necessarily what we want to use. So the reasons that submodality map acrosses can be so helpful is because they can change. You can have an unresourceful state if you go into a certain situation and you don't want to keep bringing up that certain state, then you can actually just change it, and it's very simple to do. So has anybody here, and I know I can put my hand up, has anybody here been in a situation where they go into an unresourceful state? Yeah? Okay, does anybody want to throw out any examples for me? As I've had some nods.
Public presentings are really common ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the last 11 years, I've been a trainer, and so I've had to stand up in front of groups to present, and you know, anxiety about that and everyone looking at you and being on form is quite natural, and
Yeah.
that's a common one for people to have to put themselves into a state, because you're almost doing a semi-performance, and you have to get rid of that kind of fear of all eyes being on you sort of thing.
Yeah. And how do you find that now? Do you still?
Yeah, I think because I've done it for 11 years now, it's kind of
You'd
happens-
hope that you.
It
Yeah.
happens naturally, I think. But I think that anxiety that can be there can still crop up whenever.
Hmm.
But I think you just get more used to how to switch out of it.
And you quite sort of adept at doing that now.
Yeah, I would say I've had to be.
Would either of you or anybody else like to come up and explore their unresourceful states? Hello.
I'm sitting on the.
Welcome. You are. Now, have a seat. What I would like now is a volunteer, if I may. If someone could just come up and just list the VAK for me as we're going through. Oops, it's not there. So it's just as we're having a chat over here and eliciting the states, if somebody wouldn't mind just writing down some modalities. Chris, do you mind? Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So explain to me this unresourceful state that you have.
So yeah, essentially, if I get frustrated, if I have a frustrating day, I will find that I become demotivated.
Okay.
And it will probably impact with the enthusiasm that I take to work and with my task in hand.
Right, okay. And this is something we were discussing, that you feel this on a regular basis, or?
More often than I'd like to.
Okay.
So I would like, in fact, I would like to be able to, the fact that something that's external, i.e. if I'm having a frustrating day because of external influences, to not be able to impact me internally, and not be able to impact the, with the enthusiasm which I do the next set of tasks. Because that might again have a negative feedback loop. If I'm not doing it as enthusiastic enough, it's not. It might, I might do it to less of a standard, so, and then it becomes frustrating because I didn't get it right, and then so on.
No, it's just a
Yeah.
circle that just keeps
Yeah.
revolving. Okay. So you know, or are you aware of a different state that you'd like to be in, a more resourceful state?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got a good idea of what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to think of either the last time that you felt this unresourceful state, or a time that springs to mind, anything that just kind of, if you think about that, what just pops into your
Yeah,
head?
resourceful one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got a good or can you think of a time?
Yep.
Yep. Got quite a good representation?
Yep.
And again, if it helps, you can close your eyes, it's completely up to you. Yep. Okay, so can you describe to me?
I've had a pretty frustrating day at work. I'm walking home from work, head down, pretty sort of sighing, heavy breathing, feeling pretty drab, miserable.
Okay.
Um,
So in terms of the image that you're seeing,
mhm.
are you seeing it through your own eyes, or are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm seeing it through my own eyes.
Okay, so you're associated.
Mhm.
Okay. And can you describe the qualities of that image for me?
Yeah, it's so just leaving where it's the street, sort of outside where I work, and everything, all the pavement, all the greys and the kind of drab colours are very prominent, and it's kind of kind of quite a miserable.
Okay, so if you were going
colours
to
and
actually
things.
describe the qualities of that image that you're seeing,
Mhm.
so you describe the greys.
They're quite dark, like a slate grey almost, sort of very just dark It's not particularly well lit, so the sun's in.
Okay, again, and in terms of the image, so if we're now thinking in terms of the image that you're seeing and in terms of clarity, in terms of the size of the image,
So
if you can describe that to me.
So I'm because I'm associated, it sort of everything's in front of me as it would be if I was actually there in the moment.
Okay, is it around you as well, or just in front of
So
you?
if I look to the sides, I can picture what would be on the side of me if I was in that spot.
So if I were to put my own words on it, if I were to say panoramic, would that be, you'd be happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, in terms of clarity, can you describe the image to me?
Yeah, it's clear. I can see everything. I would if I'm there. Everything that's around me. It's not blurred at all. It's very, a clear picture in my mind of exactly how it would look if I was actually in the spot.
Okay, and the whole image is clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you aware of any sounds?
Yes. There's a pub right next door to the front door to our office, so as I'm leaving, all I can hear is people talking and chattering outside the pub.
Okay, so in terms of that, the sound, if you were to describe the actual sound to me.
So it's like a gaggle or a cacophony of voices, all different voices talking at the same time and conversations. Can't really make out any of the conversations, but I can hear voices over one another, making a big noise, effectively.
Okay, so in terms of the volume, how would you describe that?
Yes, it's very loud because it's right next to where I'm walking, and there's a big group, so it's very loud.
Okay, so very loud, and you're talking about lots of different voices talking over each other, so would you say it's a continuous sound or is it intermittent? Is there a sort of a pitch to it?
It's continuous.
So continuous sound,
Yeah.
so continuous loud sound, and it's very clear and it's panoramic. Okay, and as you're picturing this image, are you aware of any sort of sensations?
Feel like I've become a little bit lethargic.
Okay.
Because of feeling demotivated, so I feel like I'm almost dragging my heels, like become a bit heavy, lethargic.
So heavy, where do you feel that heaviness in your body?
Legs, chest, head.
Okay, so heaviness in the legs, chest and head. Okay, are you aware of anything else?
And my breathing has become like almost like sighing, like almost kind of a fed up sigh.
Okay, so how would you explain a fed up sigh to me? If I was to do that, how would you explain to me to do that?
Like take in a deep breath and exhale, but sort of slumped over and head down. And
so quite deep,
yeah.
Deep breaths.
Yeah.
Okay, so deep breaths, heavy feeling in your legs, your chest, and your head. And how is there any kind of rhythm to your breathing, or?
Yeah, it's shallow. It's quite shallow.
Okay, so you're taking deep breaths, but they're actually quite shallow. So you're not necessarily taking them.
Yeah, there's no regularity. Some of them might be deeper, and some of them are shallow. I mean, the majority, as my breathing goes, they're shallow. But when I sort of take a sigh, it's be a sort of fed up sigh. But that's not sort of with a sort of any degree of regularity.
So kind of irregular breathing,
Irregular
alternating
breathing.
between shallow and
Yes.
deep breath. Okay. And anything else that you're aware of or?
Not really, no.
There was the not really.
Nothing that I can.
Nothing else that you're aware of?
Nothing I can put my finger on there.
Okay. So, whenever you're ready, we can take you out of that. Hi.
Hello.
Right, so in a fight between Batman and Wonder Woman, who would win?
Wonder Woman.
Because?
Women are always right.
So, okay, so now let's completely shake that off. Lovely, thank you. Bit more cheek action. Okay, okay. Right, so if you were to think of something you would rather have in that instance, we were talking before and it seemed as if you had quite a good idea of what that may be. Is there anything that kind of springs to mind? Is it still that same thing or anything else you would rather have in place of that?
State.
Yeah.
There is. I'm just trying to think of the last time I had it.
Yeah, it's fine. Take your time. I'm here all night.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you be able to sort of roughly describe that state to me?
So it's I've come home after a successful day and just walk in the door and I'm feeling good about what I've got done throughout the day at work and everything feels a bit more, it's a lot brighter, the image.
Okay.
Sun shining.
So is this a state that you would rather go into rather than the unresourceful state that you had before? So if you were going into that situation and rather than feeling the way you would have originally done, would you rather this state to be in that place, or is there anything else you would rather?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
So are you happy if you were to, in the situation where you would normally go into your unresourceful state, would you be happy to go into this new state that you're thinking of now? Would you be happy to go into that state, or is there another state that would be more resourceful for you in that situation?
No, this one would be good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you were beginning to describe the image, it's brighter?
Yeah, it's brighter. The colours are more vivid.
Vivid colours?
Yeah. Feels. Sorry, in terms of how it looks. Yeah, it's sort of a panoramic view.
Okay, so you seeing it through your eyes again?
I'm
Okay.
associated, yeah.
In terms of the clarity of the image?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay.
I can see everything that's around me in detail.
Okay, and are there any sounds with this image?
No, it's no noise because I just walked home and it's all very quiet. But yeah, so it's nice and quiet. I've just got in the door and it's more kind of a relaxation time and So it's very. There's no sounds.
Okay, so there's no sounds and it's quiet.
Mm.
Okay. And how are you sort of feeling as you're in this image?
I feel a lot lighter than
Mhm.
before. I'm not hanging my head.
And where do you
Taking
feel this lightness?
here across my chest.
Okay.
My head's not sort of drooping. I'm not stooping over. Legs don't feel as heavy. I feel kind of much more sort of active or sprightly, or just kind of generally feeling a little bit more energetic.
Okay, so again, if I was to be your version of energetic, how would you get me to do that? How would you explain to me how would I be feeling?
So my shoulders would be up a bit more,
Mhm.
lighter on my feet. My head's up. Feel like I'm breathing much more regularly and at a not as such more of a rhythmic pace with like breathing in deeply through my nose.
So deep, rhythmic breathing.
Yeah.
Okay. And any other sensations you've become aware of?
I feel a bit just not stronger, but just kind of I'm not drooping over or hanging anymore. I feel a bit more, like fitter or stronger, or there's a bit more energy to me.
Okay, and where do you feel this? Because strength and fitter are kind of labels. Where would you feel
Kind of
that?
over my shoulders, my chest, my arms. So they feel a bit more like, I'd say lighter and a bit more, just a bit lighter and a bit stronger and a bit easier to use.
Okay, so if I was to use the term stronger, that you can associate that means something to you.
Yes.
You know what that
Yes.
means.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about the image?
No.
No.
That's not.
Okay. So when you're ready in your own time, well, it seems as if that's quite a nice place to be. Yep.
Good.
Feeling good?
Mhm.
Okay. So in a fight between Wonder Woman
Mhm.
and Supergirl, who would win?
Tie. They draw.
Okay. Now, who looks best? No, I'm joking. Okay. So, thank you very much. Would you mind just tilting it just a little bit here for me? Thank you. It's lovely. Thank you very much. Right, so you can concentrate on me over here, Ashley. That's all right. If you wouldn't mind just mapping across for me as we're going through, that would be lovely. Thank you, if you're happy to do that. So, okay, have you met Ava? Have you seen Ava, who's come and helped? I think she was on your practitioner, wasn't she?
Did, yeah.
Do you remember what she did for the Breaking State?
I know she did something a bit different, but I can't remember what it was exactly.
It's like a little dance move.
That was it, yeah.
Do you want to show everybody that went there?
I can't remember it.
Oh, I'll show you.
Go on.
I'll forget.
Right.
Let's try.
Right, so it's like
That
this,
was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
and then it was like that. Okay, and now you can sit down. Thank you. That's how we break state. So if you don't have the cheeks, like I do. Okay, so unresourceful state.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you can remember the image
Mhm.
and just take a moment.
Mhm.
to just put yourself back there. Okay, so you're seeing this image through your own eyes. And it was quite grey. Still clear. But not very bright, not very well lit. And there was a continuous loud sound. And you're feeling a heaviness in your legs, your chest, and your head. And your breathing's quite irregular. Okay, and as you're picturing the image, just imagine that it's just starting to get a little bit brighter. And then a bit brighter still. And as the image is getting brighter, the greyness is starting to turn into colours, and you become more aware of the different colours within the image. And as you're doing that, you're aware of the sound is just gradually starting to decrease. If you imagine a dial, you're just gradually turning down that sound. And as it gets quieter in the image, you become aware that your breathing just becomes slightly more rhythmic. Becomes more regular. And as your breathing becomes more regular and you settle into the rhythm, you become aware of the weight lifting around your chest area. And your head just becomes a bit lighter. And that lightness that's in your head and your chest travels down into your legs. And you become aware of a feeling of strength. And each breath you take in, you feel that strength and that lightness throughout your body. And as you feel the strength through your body, and you're light, and your breathing is rhythmic and regular. You become aware that there is no sound. And everything's bright and vivid. There's that strength and lightness. Just works its way through. You just feel light. And your own time whenever you're ready. You can come back into the room. Hi again.
Hello.
All right?
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Shall I make you go up and do another dance?
Can do. Is it this way?
Any way you want, I'll follow you.
Is it?
You can. Okay. And then maybe
Is it that way?
Okay. Nice. Like it.
Yeah.
Take a seat back for me a second. Okay. So we're now thinking back to a situation where you would normally go back into this unresourceful state. Can you think of a time in the future where that could possibly happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quite quick. Okay. So if you would just take a moment and just think about that situation. All right, how does that feel?
Yeah, a lot better than the
Yeah.
initial state, yeah.
Okay, would you say there was still some more that you may need to do, or?
Potentially, yeah, I think so. I think there was, I think the change was pretty kind of severe, but I think there's always, like, it probably could go a lot further too.
Yeah, I think there may also be some other processes that might be more beneficial to what you were feeling as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good start.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And a smile, so I'll take a smile.
It.
So, you can either sit here or if you want to have a seat. Thank you very much. Right, and thank you, Chris, for your wonderful handiwork. What I would just like to draw attention to before we do that is just to be aware of things, the difference between content and submodalities. So what we're looking for in the map across is you would be looking for example, grey, that's fine. Associated, clear, that's perfect. Brighter, vivid colours, panoramic, clear, they're great submodalities. You wouldn't use on street or pavement, this is content. And again, in terms of pub, gaggle of voices, you're looking more for, so continuous, loud, you're looking for pitch, tone, so you are looking for the submodalities. So if we can just quickly go through the steps of that process. So what do we do first? Step one.
Get them to focus on the unresourceful state.
So, okay, so we have an unresourceful state. So we elicit the unresourceful state. Yep. Okay, and then what do we do?
We can elicit a resourceful state, or we can just move on straight to eliciting the submodalities. It depends on the client.
Okay, so if we've actually gone in and we've actually elicited it, so they're now in that state.
Then submodality.
So you,
Visual.
yep. So you list the submodalities. Okay.
Interrogate.
I'll make it look like there's loads of steps. Okay. So you've noted the submodalities of the unresourceful state, and then what would you do?
Break state.
Okay. I saw some amazing break states, by the way. So, break state, and then what would you do? So we elicit the resourceful. Okay, I think you know where I'm going with this. Okay, so we're back to step 2. Okay, and then what do we do? Okay. You've got that bit down, yeah. Okay, and then?
Elicit the unresourceful state.
Okay. So you re-elicit the unresourceful, and then what do you do? Yeah, so what are you mapping across? So when you say map across, what are you mapping across? Okay, so it's not just the resourceful state, so you've actually just made the point.
It's got to be the resourceful ones that you're looking for where there's difference to bring the resourceful.
Exactly. Yeah, so you're looking for the differences. So you're looking to, again, if you're thinking of a state and you're thinking that submodalities are the code of that state, you're looking to change that code. So you're looking for the differences and you map across the differences. Okay, and then what do you do? So you mapped it across, break the state, and then what would you do? Almost there. Yeah, future check, future pace. Yeah, so you'd go to a situation where this state would normally occur in the future, if you can imagine a time that this may happen, and then future pace, and just see how that feels. Okay, so
This is a program, sorry, just a very quick one.
sure.
Because it's a reprogramming. Is it likely to be something that you might need to do several times? Or does it
Again, it depends. In terms of your, I think when you guys are working together, you were asking, I'm trying to remember what you were asked now, it was linked to that. About the purity of the state, sort of how strong the state needs to be. So again, similar to anchoring, the stronger the state, the purer the state, then the more effective it's going to be. Again, listing the submodalities rather than the actual content. So if you guys would be happy, if you want to pick a partner, just have a play with this for sort of 15, bless you, 15 minutes either side, and then we'll come back and debrief if you have any more questions. We'll just wait for Becky.
question?
Yes, far away.
So it seems to me that this particular technique,
Mhm.
one of the ways in which it's a bit limited is that we were talking earlier about the what and the how,
Mhm.
and the what has to really stay consistent, doesn't it? So you're mapping into new submodalities, but the actual, it's very specific to a very given scenario, would you say?
Not necessarily, depends. So you could have a certain state that you go into in a certain situation, or you could have a state that you go into in completely different situations. For example, you could have a state you go into during a presentation, yet you could go into maybe a social situation and you get the same similar kind of state.
This is what I'm wondering, but if the circumstance is totally different,
Mhm.
is there another technique you'd use if someone had general anxiety in a lot of different scenarios, or would you just have to do it for each? Would you maybe just have to use this technique for each particular context that the person experienced that
So,
the negative state.
okay, so again, when you say anxiety,
Yeah.
so whatever that feeling would be. So if there's, so you're talking about an anxiety that's a very specific anxiety for one thing, and then it's slightly different for something else, or?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if someone, you know, had an intense state
Mhm.
like anxiety, with negative state that they had in different scenarios.
Yeah, what you would normally find is that if you are working on a state, let's say we'll use the label anxiety for this one, and you work on that state, if you map across and you change, so basically what you're looking for, so the submodalities are codifying your state. So if you can change that code, when you go back into a situation where you would normally go into that state, you've actually changed the code so the state is different. So you would then be going into a completely different state as opposed to in that one situation you had anxiety, so you go into another one and then you'll still get that anxiety. So you're actually, yeah, and again, this is why taking the submodalities themselves are so important, because you are changing the state, you're changing the code of that state so that it's no longer the same, it's been altered. So that if you go into another situation where you had a similar feeling, that state has been altered. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense to me now.
Yeah?
I'm glad I asked the question.
Good. Any other questions before you?
So if I'm taking what you're saying a little bit further,
Mhm.
could you use a different scenario to transfer across? So say that the first scenario here is being outside the workplace on the pavement, and then this is a feel-good moment, but you could take, say, if you're talking about social anxiety or something, so one could be an interview and one could be a peak moment at a party. Could you transfer the feelings from the peak moment into the work interview?
It can be
situation?
absolutely anything. So what you're looking for is an unresourceful state,
And a very resourceful state.
whatever you want in that place. That's why I did double check with Ashley at the beginning when he was starting to describe the resourceful state, just in terms of calibration. I didn't want to put my own view too much on it, but in terms of congruency, I wasn't necessarily sure that that was a powerful enough resourceful state, just because of the way he was sitting with his shoulders hunched over, which is why I asked the question, is this the state you would like in that situation, or would there be another state that you would like? So you are driven by calibrating the person that you're working with, and that's what you're looking for. So obviously you can't tell them, it's completely up to them what they want to do. It's their choice. But what you're looking for is a state that you would rather have in that time. So it can be absolutely
So I suppose
anything.
in my head at the beginning I was thinking feel bad at work and then feel good at work, but they've both got to be work. But
No, it can be
it's
anything. It's just you're changing the state, you're changing the code, and what do you want to change it to?
It's really good. And at a future place, I found you could also anchor that resourceful state, or if you wanted to use for the future.
Sure. When you say anchoring, do you mean
Yeah,
how?
just, maybe grabbing your fist, or just doing something that will remind you or bring that back to you immediately.
Yeah. So when you're in your resourceful state, anchor it, and you can take that into. Yeah. That's also good.
We did that when we done the map across,
Mm.
and it felt really good.
Yeah.
Amelia said, I've got this real urge to anchor it, and I said, no, do it, I was going to ask you anyway. So, and I anchored her by wafting. So clever.
I did wonder what was going on over there.
Amelia will tell you that it was quite, yeah, I'm quite pleased.
That was a stroke of
funny.
genius. No. So she took me back into this very stressful place at work where I'm having hot flushes, so I have to have a fan. So now the fan is full of positive energy.
Okay. There's a form of anchoring going on there. This is a nice thing about these processes. Again, you've learned going through your practitioner and some of you master practitioner. It's about understanding the steps behind the processes. Once you've got that and you understand what that is, then you can start, for example, adding the anchoring to it. And I know that when you two were working, you were changing it slightly, almost kind of, going off-piste or freestyling. But it's about understanding the steps behind the process, and then once you've got that, then that gives you that opportunity to start doing that. Petra?
I think these processes can be quite, once you learn them, can be quite free flow as well. Because when we were working together with Chris, we didn't manage to finish the mapping across, but
Yeah.
for me, the change already happened in the resourceful state. I was taken. struggle to get into the unresolved state afterwards.
Okay.
The learnings already happened.
So again, with the map across, what we're looking for is, and I appreciate you didn't have the time for it, but that's good if you've already sort of processed it, is you're looking for an unconscious change, so that you don't have to think about it. You'll go into the situation and you're not consciously thinking about what you need to do. It will just happen because the state has changed.
Isn't it sometimes even better to consciously know what you have changed?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Do you need for that to be properly done, though, is to have the subconscious state changed as well as your conscious state?
Again, you're looking to change the code of the state. So you're looking that when you go into a situation, you're not thinking, I have to change this, it's just different. However, if you do get learnings from doing this, that's fantastic.
Yes.
So that's
your point.
yeah.
It's much deeper to subconsciously change or unconsciously.
Yeah, but that's still fantastic to get the learnings, and you know as you're going into it. There may be other situations where it still possibly kicks in, and that's what you'd be looking to get rid of with the Submodality Map Across. But if you can now go into that situation and you have new learnings, and that's also fantastic. Anything else? Any other points? Any questions?
I got some quite good feedback actually, which is good for this one in terms of re-eliciting the states. I thought that I could memorise the language that she'd used in her submodalities, but I didn't write them down. And the good feedback that you gave me was that when I tried to re-elicit her state by mentioning some of the submodalities that she described to me, I maybe used some slightly different words.
Yeah, and how did
which
that
if you're not
feel?
mirroring the exact.
I didn't connect.
Yeah.
Creates a disconnect.
Exactly. That's one of the bigger things, which is why it's helpful to write it down when you're writing it down, is to ensure that you're using the same person's language back to them. So any other questions about the Submodality Map Across? No? Well, then I think we've reached that time of the evening. Pub. Thank you very much for coming out this evening. Thank you. Thank you.